This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi. I'm super excited for today's video because we're going to be trying out Filet crochet. I've been wanting to try out Filet crochet for a while now, and now that it's spring, my crochet fixation is starting to emerge. So for my first Filet crochet project, I'm going to be crocheting a yoke of a dress, and then I'm going to attach some fabric to make kind of like a baby doll shape. That's the plan right now. I feel like keeping the crochet part small might be a little less intimidating because you definitely have to use a very small hook for this. I've pulled a ton of inspiration pictures from Instagram and Pinterest. I will link a board down below for you guys if you want to check it out. I also did cheat a little bit because I wanted to make a few swatches to kind of get the idea of how Filet crochet works. Originally, I wanted to do the dress in red, but I think I'm going to back up on that and stick to the classic white look because I think the color makes it a little bit harder to see the motif in the Filet crochet project. Basically, I was testing out this motif. Very simple, really not that much detail, which also could have affected the final product, but I did it in two different ways. So the first way I did it was a 3 double crochet method, and then the second way was a 4 double crochet method. So at its core, Filet crochet is just chain stitches and double crochets, and you follow a grid like this. Each square represents either a open space or a filled in space. Depending on the method you use is how many double crochets you do in those filled in spaces. So that's kind of like at its core what Filet crochet is from my understanding. So this is the first one. It's honestly coming up a little bit better on camera than it is in real person. More than in person. So that makes me feel a lot better. I thought that you couldn't really see the motif that well. So I tried out the second method with the 4 double crochets. It has a lot bigger spaces, so there is more contrast, but honestly, I really like this style a lot more. I don't think I like the big holes as much, especially for a yoke of a dress or like a garment. I think I'm gonna stick with this first method. Like I said, I think the white will pop a little bit more. I think since the red is darker, there isn't as much contrast. So I'm gonna keep it pretty budget friendly as far as yarn goes. I have this red heart crochet thread. I have it in a red color and a white color. I think I do want to stick to the white color, but I'll definitely be using this red crochet thread for a different Filet crochet project. I also bought a pack of these boy steel crochet hooks. For such a small project, you want a very sturdy hook or else it just won't be a very enjoyable experience if your crochet hook is bending at every stitch. So as far as the design goes, I think I want to keep it very, very simple. I think I'm going to do a little flower. So I just put this repeating flower pattern in this website called Stitch Fiddle. I've honestly never used Stitch Fiddle before, but people talk about it all the time in the knit, crochet, fiber arts community because it is such a good tool. So I finally gave it a shot with this, but I think we should just start and see where this takes us. If you've been looking for a way to build your online presence with a website, then look no further than Squarespace. Squarespace is an amazing platform to help you build a website, whether you want to sell products online, build a portfolio, or even start a blog. They offer built-in templates that you can customize with flexible drag and drop technology. Today, I want to highlight Squarespace's storefront capabilities. I've been teasing a little handspun yarn drop for a while now, which is the primary reason for my website, as well as selling digital products like my patterns. You can list physical and digital products with just the click of a few buttons and track orders internally with Squarespace. Squarespace allowed me to design a beautiful website that showcases my brand with engaging visuals for my customers. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/katebees for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, I'm going a little old school with this, but I printed out my motif and I put it in a sheet protector so I can use a whiteboard marker and mark off my squares. I think I'm going to use a 2mm hook, which I definitely probably could go smaller, but I think I'm going to start with this. I never use hooks this small. I feel like it's going to hurt my hand, but I'm going to make the gauge swatch, block it, measure it, and then based on the gauge swatch, we can decide how many repeating flowers I can have on the front of the dress. Okay, I'm about this far and I feel like it's still not giving enough contrast, and it's crazy because it looks like it is on camera, but in real life, I feel like I can't tell as much. So I think I'm gonna do a 1.9mm hook. Okay, I finished my gauge swatch, you guys. Again, it's coming up so clear on camera for some reason, which is a good thing because I can show you guys, but what did make a big difference was something someone on Instagram actually suggested. They told me to look into the linked double crochet, and that made a world of difference. It really like did the trick. So you can see that there's little spaces in between the double crochets. The linked double crochet, they're all like really stuck together. So next I'm just gonna measure my gauge swatch, measure this area, I feel like I'm going back and forth between doing the front and the back separately and then sewing them up on the sides, or just doing one big rectangle and connecting them at the end. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Okay, here is my gauge swatch, and it turned out to be 6 inches by 5 inches, so that's what I'm going to base my starting chain off of. Here's how you calculate the starting chain for the 3 double crochet fillet method. You multiply the number of squares across the first row of the chart by 2, then you add 1. Then, based on the first square on your grid, is how many additional chains you'll have to add for the turning chain. In this case, mine is an open square, so I'll add 4 more. My grid for the swatch was 17 stitches by 17 rows, so my swatch foundation chain was 39 stitches. Then I took my bust measurement and added around 4 inches of ease. Disclaimer, this was a little bit too much ease after blocking, so I made an adjustment, which I'll talk about later. Then I divided that by 2 to get the stitches for the front and back panel, which came out to 18 inches per panel. Again, my swatch was 6 inches, so to get the number of motifs on each panel, I divided 18 by 6. So for the front panel of my dress, I got 3 motifs times 17 stitches each equals 51 stitches, plus 1, and then plus 4 for the open mesh first square to get 107 stitches. This is the proper way to do it. I think I missed a stitch, so in the video I refer to the chain as 106 stitches, but this technically is the proper way to calculate your starting chain from what I understand. So I did my chain. My first 2 rows are all mesh stitches, so to do that you just chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and repeat that across the whole row to make a mesh stitch. Then I did my first 2 rows, and the third row is where things get a little crazy with the solid squares, so I put stitch markers to block off each motif just so I could keep track of everything. So this row has 2 solid squares. I did my 5 mesh stitches. Now for a solid square, this side of the mesh stitch counts as your first double crochet, then you do 1 double crochet in the chain space, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, so you have 3 double crochets to make a solid block. I'm technically doing a linked double crochet stitch here, but I don't want to make it too complicated, so if you're interested in that, I will link a tutorial down below. And if you have multiple solid squares next to each other, they share a common double crochet in the middle. A good rule of thumb is the squares times 2 plus 1 is the number of double crochets you should have for that section. Again, guys, this is not a tutorial. I'll link all of the good resources I used to learn down below for you guys to check out, but this is a very brief introduction into filet crochet. Okay, here's the start of my yoke. So this is 4 rows, and it's looking good so far. I think it's gonna fit perfectly. It has a little bit more stretch than I thought it was going to. Hopefully it doesn't end up too big. If it does, we'll have to do some surgery and figure it out, but I'm not going back now because I do not want to chain 106 stitches again, which I will have to anyways for the back part, but it's like my least favorite part of crocheting is doing that initial chain. Oh my god, it drives me crazy. So I'm gonna work away at this and I'll show you guys the front part of the yoke once it's done. This is how far I am into the pattern, and I'm really testing my patience, you guys. I'm not good at making like small, delicate things. So this is what it looks like right now. And I'm gonna change the plan a little bit. Originally, I was gonna have 3 flowers in the front and 3 in the back, but I don't think I have the patience for that, and I think I just want to do the mesh stitch on the back. Also, I feel like this is going to be a little bit big anyways, so I might have to adjust the size of the back panel, which would kind of mess with the amount of stitches that I have in between each of the flowers and stuff. So I think to make it easier on myself, I'm just going to have this be the front panel, do the straps and the back just in like a regular mesh stitch, and then I don't have to worry about sizing as much. So to be honest, right now I think I need a break from filet crochet because my hands hurt from holding that tiny hook, and I feel like I've just been crocheting all day. Okay, I'm taking this opportunity to take a little break, and we're gonna go to Goodwill to see if there's any bed sheets or anything I can use for like the dress part. I'm sad because Joann's closed. Obviously that's like the #1 fabric place to go. I was also going to the scrap exchange a lot, which I don't live by anymore, so I have to find a new fabric place. So we'll see how it goes. This Goodwill is so steep. Both of these dresses are $11 each. Like what? Okay guys, a lot has happened since I talked to you guys last. I actually am almost done with the yoke part. I kind of took it upon myself last night to try to finish up the yoke part as much as I could, but I did have to wake up this morning and do part of the back panel. So I haven't attached the straps yet or the sides, but this is how it's looking so far. Like I said, I made the back panel just plain mesh stitch because I did not want to deal with doing the filet again. I also did make the back panel a little bit shorter. This one I did, I think, 90 stitches plus the 4 for the chain, so 94 stitches. So it was about like 10-ish stitches less. So not a huge difference, but I definitely wanted to make it a little bit smaller, and I honestly was kind of winging it and it turned out pretty good. So this is what it's looking like right now. It's honestly fitting very, very nicely. I haven't done the sides yet, and you can see the decal, which was like my biggest concern, to be honest, is not being able to see the motif. And yeah, that's what it looks like on. I took you guys to Goodwill with me yesterday, so you kind of know where my head was at for that, but I went in thinking I was gonna find like a nice bed sheet or something, but there was just no luck, to be honest. There was not really much there as far as like the linens go. And then I thought, why don't I just try to like upcycle something? So this is kind of like a thrift flip now. So I went to the dress section and I was looking and seeing if there was any fabric that I liked for the dresses, and I found 2 that I liked. One I ended up putting back because it was kind of cheap looking, but one I did buy, so let me show you that. It's a loft dress. It's a little bit big for me, which is kind of what I wanted because I did want to gather it a little bit. I don't think it's big enough to do too many gathers. Usually with gathering, you want to do like 2 to 3 times the amount of fabric that you want it to fit to. This is not quite that, but we're just gonna kind of figure it out as we go. So those are my updates for you guys. I'm gonna finish up the yoke and attach the straps and the sides, and then we'll get to sewing the skirt part on. We're all loaded up and ready to go. I haven't sewed in a while, like I said, so we're gonna see how this goes. Really only need to sew 3 lines. I cut it at the original seam, so I am gonna end up cutting that off just to reduce some bulk, but I wanted to leave it on so I don't have to pin around the whole thing because there is a lining that I want to keep. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew 2 basting stitches around the whole skirt part and then cut off the seam, and then once my yoke is done blocking, then I'll attach it. I'm honestly excited to get on my sewing machine because I have a lot of spring projects that I want to do that are specifically sewing projects, so this is a good little intro back into sewing. We are so close to being done. Right now I'm debating if I want to hand sew this on or sew it on with my machine. I'm a little bit worried with sewing over crochet. Like, I think it'll be fine as long as I keep the tension loose. I'm gonna try my best to stay on this like stretchy foundation chain, which is honestly perfect that I did that in the beginning because it gives a little bit more room to sew into, if that makes sense. So yay, I'm so excited. You guys, it's fantastic. I just tried it on. It looks so cute. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of like weird gathering in the front, but I think I'll be able to fix it. Before I show you guys, I'm going back and forth on whether I want to do like a little edging detail around the neckline, and I feel like it'll add a little bit more structure because right now you can tell like with the lace crochet, it's just like it weighs down a lot, especially with the skirt part. So I want to add a little bit more reinforcement with that. So I think I'm going to add a little bit of an edging just around the neckline. This is the edge right now. I want to add a little bit of a detail for it. So this one, which I think will be really subtle and cute, but like also make it a little bit more girly and like feminine. We can always rip it off if we don't like it. So, and then I'll show you guys the final product. I think the sun is supposed to be out tomorrow, so maybe I'll show you guys tomorrow when it's actually sunny and feels like spring. Today is a little bit cloudy still, so. Okay, you guys, it's finished. I'm like still in shock. This is honestly one of my favorite things I've made this year so far. I'm super glad I added that crochet edge because I feel like it adds like a really feminine touch and it just makes it look very finished. Also, thank God I decided to use like a dress that was already made because I think I would have gone crazy trying to sew the skirt part for this. I'm glad I already had had a skirt that had a lining and a hem, so I didn't have to deal with any of that. But overall, I am obsessed with the way that it turned out. Just like a perfect summer dress. I feel like I would wear it with cowboy boots or like some cute socks and a pair of flats. Even wearing it with a little ball cap would be so cute. I'm just like so excited to wear it. My review on Filet Crochet itself is I really like the final product. I think it's so fun, and like I'm really excited to try out different designs and motifs. But at the same time, it takes forever, and I'm not a super patient person. When it comes to making things, I feel like I like bigger gauges and like bigger hooks. So I don't think I have the patience for a really big filet crochet project right now, maybe something smaller. That hook is so tiny and my hand was cramping by the end of it. But at the same time, I think it is very beginner friendly. Like I was saying, it's pretty much just double crochets and chain stitches. So definitely if you've been wanting to try it out, give it a shot. Maybe make like a little coaster or something to start out. Again, if you need a visual, this is the difference between the 3 double crochet and 4 double crochet methods. I personally like the look of the 3 double crochet method a little bit better, but if you're having a hard time like having the motif show up, definitely try out the other one. But at the end of the day, if you've been wanting to give it a shot, definitely try it out because the outcome is just so cute. But I also love doing mixed media projects, so I want to do more crochet and sew now that I know I can like sew on my crochet stuff. Comment down below if you want to give filet crochet a try, or if you've already done it, let me know your experience with it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out and helps me keep making fun videos like this for you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.